Welcome to my channel, Sonja Unapologetic. My name is Sonja, and welcome back if you've been here before. Before we go any further, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I post a video. Also, get down in the comments because your engagement, it really helps my channel. I'm going to talk about how parents' decisions affect a child's life. This topic was inspired by the New York Post article about Beyonce's half-brother. The title of the article is "My Son is Beyonce's Half-Brother and Wonders Why She Doesn't Love Him." I'm going to read a little bit of it. It starts off by saying, "The boy just wants to bay love," bay, B-E-Y. It starts off kind of corny, also trying to pull at people's heartstrings. It goes on to say, while his big sister's buzzing around the globe on her Renaissance World Tour, Beyonce's 13-year-old half-brother, who spent his formative years living in a trailer with his mom, Alexsandra Wright, questions why the "Why Don't You Love Me" singer won't show him any affection, claims the teen's mother. He asks, "Why doesn't this person love me?" Wright, 52, who lives in California, told The Sun of her son Nixon, who she shares with Beyonce's father and ex-manager Matthew Knowles, 71. "Nixon has never had the luxury of being a normal child," Wright, an LA-based businesswoman, continued. "Being related to someone famous smothers kids like him, and they lose their identity. I sit in the bathroom and cry sometimes because I just don't know how to help him be his own person." She also goes on in this article to compare financially what Beyonce has going on, Beyonce and Jay-Z's sprawling mansion that is only 10 miles away from where they stay. She also goes on to compare a stark contrast from the way Blue Ivy is living as opposed to the way her son is living. I feel like this mother definitely needs to guide her son and help him understand that they cannot control if Beyonce wants a relationship with him or not. Beyonce, unfortunately, does not owe this young man a relationship. I feel like a lot of stuff in the article and the interview, it's just not a good look, because is this about your son's mental health and him just wanting a relationship with his family, or is this about money? Because for one thing, I don't understand, why is the focus not on his father, Matthew Knowles? Alexsandra also talks about having an affair with Matthew Knowles when he was married to Tina Knowles, and she says she doesn't feel guilty. It just goes to show you that her actions and Matthew Knowles' actions is shaping this young man's life and causing some emotional issues, and that is not on Beyonce at all. I also can understand Beyonce's hesitancy to open herself up to relationships with half siblings. I can imagine that a lot of women would go after, or definitely be very open to, a relationship with Matthew Knowles just from the excitement of being connected to Beyonce. To be able to say, my child is Beyonce's sister, and Beyonce has no control over that. And then also I can understand the pain that Beyonce and Solange had to go through with their parents' breakup, with the allegations and just information about their father cheating on their mom. That's a lot. So I also question just the whole idea of the young man Nixon, who is Beyonce's half-brother, how the mom is continuing to say that he doesn't have his own identity. And it feels like, just from reading the article, the way the mom speaks about stuff, it just makes me wonder if a lot of his lack of identity is, what he's hearing the mom say. I just feel like at this point, the mom needs to make it very clear to the son that myself and your father, we made some mistakes. We took some actions, and I'm sorry about the way our actions have affected you. I feel like the mom just being very honest with her son. We can't help if Beyonce wants to be in your life at all. She may not, but I love you. And that also, we can't help that Beyonce has all this money, and I'm just gonna try as hard as I can to give you everything you need. Because it was just crazy the way they were mentioned, like, well, the only thing my son has is, this Nintendo Switch or whatever, that's $300. But Blue Ivy has a $64,000 diamond encrusted Barbie. Okay, why is that in here? What do you want? You want Beyonce to give him a gift that costs $64,000? It's just, a lot of it is just not a good look. I feel like there is some intellectual dishonesty in here, that the mom is thinking that going after Beyonce, that's making Beyonce look bad. And I don't think it makes Beyonce look bad at all. I feel like it makes her look bad. A lot of this stuff in this article talking about I didn't feel guilty at all. Okay, well, Beyonce is the firstborn of Matthew Knowles. She was affected by her parents' divorce. She was affected by all of this, and to say you didn't feel guilty at all, I mean, maybe just don't say anything about it at all, or don't mention if you didn't feel guilty. But I don't feel like it was a good look for that to be a part of the interview. I also don't think it was a good look for the comparing. Why is she comparing her son's life and gifts to Blue Ivy? Her son is not Beyonce's child. And then also, I just feel like more of the focus needs to be on, okay, can I get Matthew to have a relationship with my son, because Matthew is this boy's father, but she can't control that either. And if she's concerned about their financial situation, or them just having some financial troubles, it's up to her and Matthew, who are supposed to make sure that their son is financially stable. But honestly, compared to a lot of just normal everyday kids in the US, I mean, the fact that this kid even has a $300 Nintendo Switch, it's like, okay, you can't compare yourself to Beyonce. I'm going to guess that the child is not starving if he has a $300 Nintendo Switch. It's like, the only thing my child has is that. Okay, that's a privilege in itself to be able to have that. It's unfortunate. I'm sure that this woman and the other lady who has a child with Matthew outside of Tina Knowles, they both probably had this excitement of, ooh, my child is going to be Beyonce's sibling. And having a child with Matthew Knowles, they should have known that definitely does not guarantee any of Beyonce's money, and that doesn't guarantee that Beyonce is just going to be this big sister to these teens. For one thing, both of them are so much different in age. I mean, they could be Beyonce's kids. Another thing, Beyonce has a very busy life that I'm sure just making sure that she's juggling and having a healthy relationship with her own kids is a struggle. So I'm not understanding why she thought that was a good look. I don't feel like it's shaming, Beyonce in any way. Beyonce, unfortunately, does not owe this young man anything. It's also weird that Solange was not mentioned, and I mean, Matthew was hardly mentioned, and he's the boy's father. And also, if it's about this boy having a relationship with family, which it don't say like that's what it's about. It just really seems like it's about, if I can get out there and shame Beyonce, like maybe she'll cut us a check for us to be quiet. But that is not a good idea, because like I said, okay, then every woman who comes along and has a baby with Matthew, every person who comes along in the future, if they have a child with Beyonce's nephew, if they, somehow get with a family member to have a connection with Beyonce, okay, what does she do? Pay them all off? It's definitely not something to where you want the world to know that Beyonce is handing out checks to anybody who somehow ends up having a relation to her. A man could feel like, oh, this is, Beyonce's sister, so I'm going to try everything I can to get into a relationship with, Solange, so I can be close to Beyonce or whatever. Even though Solange is definitely also talented and, a celebrity in her own right, but the fact that Alexsandra Wright did not mention Solange, it shows that those stars is in her eyes to be able to say that I'm rubbing elbows with Beyonce. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I just want to take certain stories that are in the news and just try to use it as a prompt to just talk about things that a lot of us can relate to. I've met people who, when I ask them, oh, how many siblings do you have? And they'll pause, and then I'm just thinking, oh wow, did I ask something wrong? And they're like, well, my mom, she has, me and my sister, but then my dad, he has, well, I don't know how many siblings I have. I can tell that it can definitely cause some emotional issues, or just kind of make people feel a little weird when you can't control who your parents have relationships with and how many extra siblings you end up having. And then that whole feeling of everyone telling you, you have to form this bond with your half siblings. I can imagine that it just causes just a lot of stress. That is all I have to say. Get down in the comments. Let's continue this discussion. Again, like I said, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to be notified every time I post a video, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.